Hello and welcome to the Mighty Oaks Show. This is a very special episode. My name is Jeremy Stolnicker. I'm the Executive Director of the Mighty Oaks Foundation here with Chad Robichaux, the founder and president of the Mighty Oaks Foundation, and excited to bring this episode to you today. This is one of those on-the-road shows. We have been traveling. In fact, a few minutes ago, we walked out of the car. Normally, we're filming from our studio in Southern California. Today, we're in Washington, D.C. I just left the car, walked into the hotel, and we've had an exciting day. Wanted to sit down and share some of these things with you because really it's you, our viewers, and our supporters who make things like this happen and make things like this possible. And I know this trip has been of interest to a lot of folks. So, Chad, we've had a busy day. A lot of things have led up to this, and a lot of people got involved on the front end. That led us to do what we're doing today. So talk about some of that. Who's been involved and what have we been up to today?
Well, we've had a long-standing desire to take everything that we offer at Mighty Oaks, all the programs and the solutions to post-traumatic stress, veteran suicide, to divorce in our families, and make them available to every single warrior and spouse that we could reach. And many of us know that at DoD and VA only utilize through the traditional methods clinical approaches. Yeah. And so, thankfully, we're not the only one that shares the desire to bring those solutions to the table. And we met a Republican Congresswoman out of Missouri, Vicky Hartzler, an incredible lady, incredible leader, and she wanted to put together this roundtable at Congress with members of Congress to come together and see what legislations they could support, what things that they could do as congressmen and women to make these programs available. So she asked us if we'd come and speak before Congress, and obviously we agreed to do that. And but we wanted to bring the voice of a nation behind us. And so within a week, we got, I think we were shooting for 10,000 signatures to bring to Congress to show America's voice and support for faith programs and faith solutions to veterans care. We had 23,000 as of this morning. I think we're getting close to 24,000 now. There's still
more coming in, right?
More still coming in. I'm sure more will come in. And so the supporters of Mighty Oaks, those who support us and believe, thank you, because it made a difference for us to be able to go and know that we wasn't just by ourselves, that we were supported. People believed in what we were doing, and it just felt really good to walk in before those congressmen and women today and to be able to know that we were supported. And it was an incredible opportunity. We were not the only ones. Mighty Oaks was represented by Jeremy and myself. We had a Reboot, which is a partner of ours. Who Reboot had Evan Taylor,
Evan Owens.
Sorry, Evan. Evan Owens, and a great organization we're partnered with. And it was Operation Restored Warrior with their founder Paul. I can't remember Paul's last name.
Yep.
And also one of the board members. Mike Lindell.
Lindell.
My pillow guy.
Right.
I didn't get that name wrong.
It's hard to be the founder when you have Mike Lindell on your board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, Love Mighty Oaks, 3 organizations that do the same but somewhat different things, and we were able to talk about the successes that we've had through Faith Solutions and really paint the picture of where clinical programs fit, where they have failed, and fall short, and where faith programs really have a place in caring for our veterans. And so I think we can,
Yeah, that happened. I mean, we asked Congresswoman Hartzler today, what is one of your goals? What was one of the things you hope you'd get out of this? And she's incredible. Really, in a very real way, we talk about championing causes, right? But she really is championing this cause in Congress for sure. But what is one of the things that you wanted to happen? And she said, well, I wanted exposure to your organizations. I wanted people to know that there are other options outside of kind of the clinical options, and to know, she believes this, but she wanted to illustrate to other representatives that people outside of just her and us care about this. And part of that was bringing the petition that really illustrated that there are a lot of people very concerned about these issues. And as we went around the table, the organizations were represented, representatives were there, members of the Veterans Administration, of
the turnout was incredible.
Yeah, of chaplaincy was there, an incredible group of people, and tremendous discussion. And the discussion was one that I think would be encouraging to most people.
Yeah, I mean, like some of the members who were there, the chaplain of the Marine Corps, Admiral Todd.
Yes.
And an Air Force general who was the deputy chaplain to the Air Force.
Right.
We had some board members there, General Jared Boykin, General Dees.
Yep.
Pastor David Beard, Steve Toth was there with us. I was just blown away by the Congress people that showed up, and to hear They were at some of the Congress members that spoke there today felt as passionate about faith solutions as we do.
Right.
And so there's a lot of passion in Rome, and with the VA representation there, it was Conrad Washington. He's the director of faith programs for the VA, and what a great man, and the right guy for that position.
Yeah.
But we had to talk about the truth and some of the things that the VA has fallen short on, and that's making faith programs available. And one of the things I mentioned that I want to share with you guys is, in the last 15 years, the VA and DoD has responded to try to take care of, address the suicide issue. 15 years ago, there were 16 suicides per day, and to address that problem, they put a lot, billions of dollars into clinical programs. In fact, it's in the last 15 years, it's over 1,200 clinical programs. Wow. And over that 15 years, the problem sadly has only gotten worse. Now we're the last report is over 20 a day, which since the war on terror and a little bit beyond that 15 years, or the last 20 years, that's 140,000 suicides of men and women in uniform, and it's a very serious issue that's growing. The active duty suicide rate is growing. Last year, the Marine Corps had the highest suicide rate of active duty Marines ever. Special Operations Command reported 4 times the amount of active duty suicides from the year prior. Just last month, there was an Air Force article out. The number one cause of death for an active duty service member or active duty airman, the number one cause of death is suicide.
Yeah.
It's just tragic. And at Mighty Oaks, about 80% of the people that will come to Mighty Oaks will have already been through a DoD or VA clinical program, but those programs have not helped them. And so why are they coming to faith-based programs? Not because they always agree with our Christian viewpoint, a worldview, but because they're looking for hope. They're looking for a way forward. That they're looking for answers. Yeah. And so faith programs like Mighty Oaks have been extremely successful. One of the things that I was super proud of Mighty Oaks, and in Reboot had this as well, is we have done independent doctoral studies. We had someone come from the outside do a doctoral study of Mighty Oaks and looked at a group of graduates that we had nothing to do with. We didn't have any influence in this, and they looked at the participants that went through Mighty Oaks, and we had over 70% of them had positive results from their experience of going through the program as for regarding their PTSD, and 40% had clinical significant, which means that clinically there would be a significant improvement to the point to where they would not even qualify for having PTSD anymore. Essentially, they were healed. I don't know that I feel uncomfortable being using the word they were healed.
Sure.
But they walked away
from a clinical standpoint.
From a clinical standpoint, they were healed from their trauma. And these are results that clinical programs are not able to say, and faith programs are proving to be a solution. I said this several times today. We're not asking that we disband the VA and replace it with a ministry, but certainly a veteran should be able to go to, or an active duty service member should be able to go to a DoD pipeline, or a veteran to the VA and say, hey, I need help, and be able to be given options, clinical route and or faith-based treatments. And that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I think, and to be clear to our audience, the VA definitely gets a lot of negative attention, and a lot of that is earned. Rightfully so, a lot of it. But it's also, one of the largest organizations in the United States.
It's large, and they have a big problem that, frankly, they weren't prepared for. We did not plan to be at war. The nation has never been at war for 20 years. This is the longest our country has ever been at war. And our veterans it's going to be a cost to it. Yeah. And, we could be upset at the VA, or we could get behind them and help them, and that's what we're trying. We're not picking a fight with the VA or going to war with them. This gentleman, the director of faith programs for the VA, Conrad Washington, is an amazing man. I really like this man. I couldn't think of a better person for that job. Right. And so they have the right person for the job. And one of the things I said today is we're not here to pick a fight with them. We're to help. We want to help them. We want to be a resource for them. We want them to be able to partner with Mighty Oaks and organizations like Mighty Oaks to get our warriors the help that not only they need, but they deserve.
Yeah, it's recognizing, I think, that the VA does some incredible work in a lot of areas. Cutting edge, technologically advanced treatments for, physical ailments and a lot of things that, there's not a country in the world that can match what the VA is doing on a lot of fronts. But they do have a shortcoming. So instead of hiding from that, we need to acknowledge that, and that's what we're asking these representatives to do. Help us to acknowledge that the VA can't do everything. They're not equipped to do everything, Likewise,
Mighty Oaks can.
just like Mighty Oaks can.
If you came in with a missing leg, I'm going to give you a broomstick and some duct tape. I mean,
that'll help.
I can't,
that'll help.
Yeah,
that'll help.
I'm not going to be able to solve your problem. No, it's not my expertise, but the VA can really give you a good prosthetic.
And they should be doing that. There are a lot of things in the VA that the VA should just hand over to others.
Yeah.
And this is one of those areas that we should at least be allowed in on the conversation. Dollars are always an issue. Other resources, bandwidth to help folks, and we're coming as organizations, not just us, but the other organizations represented, many others, saying we have funding, we have the bandwidth, we have the structure in the organization to do it. And in fact, and you said this today, we are doing it, we'll continue to do it. That's not going to change. What we're simply asking is that people who come to the VA first are meeting with a counselor or a case manager, and they're given the option to take advantage of programs that already exist and programs that could be a help to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Who is Congressman Green?
Yes.
Was a combat veteran himself.
Incredible.
I was impressed. There were several Congress members that were combat veterans themselves, and you could tell they had a passion.
And they're extremely passionate about this. Yes, that's right. And these folks go back to their constituencies, they go back to their people, and they know there's a problem. And I think I can sit in my own bubble sometimes and say no one cares about this, and certainly the government doesn't care. The government is not a person, but there are a lot of people that make up the government, and a lot of those people really do care and really are trying to find a solution. One of the things that was said today, and I think it was helpful, was those that have found success outside of the VA and those that have been a part of programs that have been helpful outside of the VA or clinical programs, instead of getting upset about it, which is what we typically do, we say, well, I had to go here because the VA wouldn't. We need to go to our representatives and to lawmakers and let them know there are other organizations and other programs, and I have found help, and this is what it looked like. Give other options to those who need the help.
Yeah. And one of the things we were told as we were there, we were like, how could we help equip them? And they said that anybody has been to Mighty Oaks who has that Mighty Oaks experience or from another organization has a positive experience to let their congressmen members know, like write a letter, stop by and visit, go in and say, and you can write a letter, and these Congress members will get you a letter and say, hey, I've went to Mighty Oaks, or I've benefited from Mighty Oaks, I heard a story, and you need to get behind these programs, and that's one way that you as a listener could help.
Yep. So we had our meeting, and it was fantastic. Had a lot of great conversations, and then after that, spent the day basically going door to door.
Yeah.
And meeting with other Congress members, members of Congress who were not able to be at the meeting. And
we did go to the White House for lunch.
We went to the White House for lunch.
And we kind of met Mike Pence.
He walked past while we were there.
Yeah.
So we kind of met.
I was like, hey, Vice President, what's up?
And he just kept walking. So that was cool. But then beyond that, we met a lot of folks who really do care about this, that, we stopped in. And if you stop in my office, I'll say my door is always open, but I'll probably hope that you leave pretty soon. But most of them sat down.
That's including me.
That's including everybody. But they were so gracious to us, and not only listened, but asked a lot of questions, asked how they could help and how they could get involved, and overall extremely encouraged with the day.
Yeah, I mean, some of these guys really care. I mean, I won't say the name of the one, but because I don't want to put them on the spot. But we went in and we were asking about a particular study or report that the VA hasn't done, and we're like, man, it'd be really nice if the VA did this report. And he's like, well,
yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. And so he's gonna follow through and get the report done. And it's a report that we need to be able to track data and see what programs are not working and how a veterans are being served.
Yeah, I was grateful today for everyone that does care and the good things that are happening. And these connections are really important. It can seem like maybe they're not, and we may not see direct fruit immediately, but to know that folks are on the front lines in the trenches working on these things, it should be extremely encouraging to people who are watching and listening.
Yeah.
All right, well, follow us on Facebook. Get on our Facebook page if you're not, and you need to be. But we'll have a lot more coming out of these couple of days. Again, these are kind of thoughts as we walked away from these meetings. But we'll have pictures and some other stuff coming out. that you'd want to follow. For all who did sign the petition and got behind that, thank you.
Thank you.
For my family, who I had to talk into doing it at the very last minute before I got on the plane, thank you. So those of you that did it early and those of you that waited a little bit longer, thanks for doing that. But appreciate all of you, and look forward to sharing more with you in the days ahead. Please, if you haven't yet, subscribe to our YouTube page. That lets you know, of course, when new stuff comes on. Hit that notification bell, and that would be awesome. For those listening in other places, jump over to our YouTube page. Check that out. A lot of good information there, and a lot of good just material that we put out for you, and we'd love to share more with you. Thanks for listening and watching, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yes.